Detroit. The Lions overcame a 12-point deficit inside the final 4 minutes yesterday to beat the Bears, whose coach inexplicably still has his job this morning. Jared Goff threw 3 picks in the game. Dan, he was just awful until the final 4 minutes and then found a way to win. What do we say about Goff and the Lions this morning?
Yeah, when you've been through hell, going back doesn't scare you. And Jared Goff, when it comes to his career, has. And some of those uncharacteristic decisions or interceptions obviously happen. I feel better about Detroit today than I did yesterday morning. Detroit never wins this game. Never wins this game. Jared Goff's not going to throw those interceptions again. And they find a way to win the game at the end. Jared Goff makes some huge plays to Jamison Williams near the end. This was like a franchise-changing, different win for the Detroit Lions. This throwaway is awesome. Jared Goff throws the ball away, and then they run it the next down, get down there and get that game-winning play. A massive win for the Detroit Lions.
In the meantime, on the other, you look very skeptical here.
I mean, this throwaway was awesome. Like, come on, Dan.
That's a good
I like this new Monday Dan. He's so pleasant, he's positive. You could come out of this game feeling a couple different ways. It was the Bears. Chill out. The problem with Jared Goff, and he deserves the benefit of the doubt as well as he's been playing this season, but it's scary when the problem that you expect to be the problem is the problem. Their defense was putrid. They cannot get a pass rush. We expected it, and we saw it against a team that's not good. Their quarterback is someone who got shipped out of L.A., and then they won the Super Bowl. We expect him to make mistakes, and he did. So that's the scary part for me.
I got 10 seconds for you, Dan, then I'll get Rex the final word. Go.
I don't think their defense was as putrid as Justin Fields was fantastic yesterday, and I do think quarterback run surprised them a little bit with how much Chicago used it.
Lions.
Yeah, the only concern that I have, to Neek's point about the pass rush. Look, going into that game, 6 out of 9 games, they had 1 or less sacks in 6 out of 9 games. That postseason, that's what I worry about. We'll see about it. They're banking a lot on this kid coming back, James Houston, who had 9.5 sacks in 7 games last year. He better get back in a hurry.
When you ask him about his coaching, listen to this.
I have full confidence in our way of playing. Full confidence in myself as the play caller, in the way that we teach, and the way that we scheme. Full confidence in that. We got to bring this group together and do it consistently, okay? And that's where it's at. So you can stop asking that question, okay? I'm going to be calling the defenses, okay? So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again.
What do you think of that?
What do I think of that? I think he should go back in Division III football where he belongs. Look, this guy, look at his resume, man. I mean, I'm sorry. Dude comes in there, 1-year coordinating a team that my wife could coach, all right, with Aaron Donald, all those guys. Stop it.
She's been around
like,
football a long time.
Oh, yeah. And trust me, she'd do a hell of a lot better job than this guy's doing with this defense. They're the second highest payroll in the National Football League on defense, and they're the second worst. Like, this team is atrocious, and you got a Hall of Fame quarterback, dude. Ridiculous. And by the way, you're right, Neek. I mean, Jordan Love, there's still a lot of questions about this kid. Is he an NFL, quarterback and all that? He looked like Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Bart Starr, and all the other Packers, man. Forget it. This dude, I'm sorry, your job's to sit up there and answer questions. That man has a right, or woman has a right to ask you any question she wants. You get paid to answer those things. All right, handle it. The reason they're questioning you is because you're atrocious on defense. Give it to anybody else. Let somebody else coach, because it ain't getting done.
That's a horrendous answer in so many ways, but the primary one to me is that he just basically said, look, guys, our defense is bad, but I'm doing everything right. Everything I'm doing is fine. So you want to talk about how we're not winning games or not playing well, go talk to those guys in that locker room. I'm totally confident in our scheme. I'm totally confident in the way we teach. I'm totally confident in my play calling. Yeah, then why do you lose every game by 1 possession? He's throwing his players under the bus, which Rex Ryan has taught me for years you never do.
Never do. And that's why I'm sure he's lost.
Yeah, you don't do that. I think in that situation, you have to answer confidently. You have to, but you can't be sassy. Like, he got up there all upset. Ooh, how'd you ask me that question? That's the problem. We're watching this ever since that collapse. Like, he was minutes away from winning that playoff game last year, which would have bought him some credibility, bought him some more time. They collapsed in that moment. And since then, everything you're going to do up and then it's going to be questioned. It's an uphill battle. You have to understand that. And the way that he's performing and responding to it, I think, is embarrassing and uncomfortable, especially since they have all the talent. Like Rex pointed out, this team is talented enough to be with the cream of the crop in the AFC, but they have not been and they won't.
I can't wait till they get a real coach next year with that quarterback and these players. It's going to be, I think they'll be special.
Danny, go.
Yeah, one, no defense has more blown coverages when you watch their tape than the Chargers. It's all over all game.
Coaching, yeah.
Two, this is the real question that the Chargers have to figure out outside of the defensive. Is Brandon Staley really the coach for them with Justin Herbert moving forward? Justin Herbert is talented enough and elite enough as a quarterback to be in the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson's, Joe Burrow conversations of the world. He's good enough to win MVP. He's good enough to win a Super Bowl with. Good enough. Is Brandon Staley the coach? Because right now it's hard, no matter anybody who loves him, to sit here and say, unquestionably, he's the guy to take Justin Herbert in the next 4 or 5 years forward.
I mean, I can answer that question now. Hell no.
Easy.
I can't believe he's still there now. It's the worst. I mean, all the analytics nonsense that he's never gotten off of for a second, going for it in his own territory and all that kind of stuff. I can't believe he's still there as we speak. So what will you be watching for, Domonique, right at the beginning of the game that will tell everyone, okay, the advantage is here?
I mean, off of what Dan just showed, those take time. And what the Eagles have is a great pass rush. So I'll be watching to see if Patrick Mahomes can, or if that O-line can hold up against that pass rush that they have. They have outstanding defensive linemen. Their secondary is talented, but they haven't been perfect this year. So that's the question. I think the Chiefs will have an opportunity to create big plays if they can keep Patrick upright and they don't let those guys get in the backfield, which is something that most teams have a hard time doing. In the Super Bowl, he had 34 dropbacks and wasn't sacked one time. I think that was had a big factor in that game, and it'll have a big factor in the game tonight.
So keep an eye on whether the Chiefs' offensive line is holding up against the Eagles' pass rush. Rex, what is the one thing you'll be watching most closely at the beginning of the game?
I'm going to look at the other side of the ball. I want to see if Kansas City's run defense, which, by the way, you may be surprised by this, they're ranked 31st in the National Football League in run stoppage. All right, overall, the defense has been outstanding. All right, the best in the Patrick Mahomes era. However, Philadelphia, can they run the football and impose their will running the football against the very suspect defense of Kansas City? I think Spagnuolo is going to have an answer here. Will he bring down more guys? That's what I'm going to be looking at.
And then very quickly, Danny, who's a player that everyone should be watching to see if tonight is his night?
Rashee Rice, the first-year receiver for Kansas City. It's really the other from Travis Kelce. And he's had moments. And I think coming off of the bye week, the thing for me, Greeny, is have they figured out the ideal way to use him? He's this big, physical, get the ball in his hands type of player. He's not like an elite route runner. So I think Andy Reid and Matt Nagy, their offensive coordinator with Patrick Mahomes, it's like, hey, have we figured out maybe we can get him some easier and sooner touches and allow his physicality to be a part of the game tonight?